Hello and welcome back to Design Thinking. Today I'm very excited to present to you the first module of Design Thinking. This is a very important module. This pretty much is the central piece of Design Thinking. You get this right, rest will flow, or so we believe, is what the heart of Design Thinking is. Called Empathize. Empathy or empathize is the key idea here. So in empathy, it is about putting yourself in someone else's shoes, figuratively. You get into somebody else's psyche and think about what is it that they're going through. So one way of empathy could be you yourself going through that experience and figuring out, oh yeah, this is what they're going through, and write down and note down as if you are that external. So you will have to do two roles. It is best done with another person also as a team, so that that person does the observation, you go through the experience, or the other way around. So it's easier to sort of do these two roles. If you don't have another person, you can do it yourself, but it will be double work for you. So empathy is about going through somebody else's experience as if it were your own. So for example, I'll give you two examples from this company called IDEO.com. IDEO is the design thinking firm. They said one of the cases I remember having read in their website or in one of their videos is they were trying to figure out how can we help emergency room patients. So emergency room is your trauma care, your the ambulance comes in and the patient is wheeled in on a stretcher and they need immediate attention. So how can we help these guys, these people who are going through this experience? So the first step, as you can imagine, is to see can we go through this experience ourselves, of course without having to go through the trauma part of it, but at least what is it that they are experiencing, feeling as much as possible. Easiest way is to go and interview them and see if you can find out, unearth some truths about what was their experience like, and you can note that down. That is of course there, that is one way. But IDEO's team said no, we will do it more touchy-feely. So what one of the person from the IDEO team did was strap on a video camera, a camera right next to their temple here, and recorded the whole thing as if this person is going through. So what this person told the rest of the hospital team is to pretend that he is one of the patients and just pretend the whole thing, fake the whole thing as if he were one of the patients. So he was wheeled in from an ambulance, and the whole thing was being recorded, as I told you earlier. So he was wheeled in from the ambulance into the emergency room, and he was transferred from the stretcher, the bed, onto their main bed, where they would the doctors and the attendants would come and take care of the patient. So they pretended the whole time, about I think I don't know how long it took, but however long it took, he recorded the whole thing. And interestingly, he said, okay, now that I've gone through this experience, I want to see what the camera saw. And they saw the whole video, they played the whole video, and found that most of the time the video had recorded the roof of the emergency room. Okay, so this is what a patient does, and what they hear is somebody operating on them or doing their operations. They're performing whatever medication or what injections, all that is being performed. But all the patient sees during the entire process, most of the time, is the roof. Probably a very traumatic experience, but what do they see to get it down is the roof. So this was a key insight for them through this whole experience, is to see how can we make it better when all they are seeing is the roof. That could be a problem statement. You can come up with interesting solutions for making this person's life better, to reduce the whole trauma experience. So, but to me, the it is key to figure out that this is what we need to be working on. So empathy formed a key bit in that. The second story that IDEO shared also on either their blog or their video is a case of again a healthcare case. They wanted to help a senior citizen, meaning more than I guess 60 years of age, an elderly person, to see if they can see how can I help their life in their day-to-day life, not an emergency case but a day-to-day life sort of case. So they called up a lady in her 60s, mid 60s maybe, and they said, ma'am, can we do something to help you? We are from this design team. We are trying to make people like yours lives better. So is there something that you're facing that we can probably help you with? So the first thing that the lady said was, oh, my life is perfectly fine. I'm doing well. I don't really have anything that you can probably help me with. So these guys, yes, heard the answer, but they're not convinced if that was really the case. So this person asked, ma'am, can we come and visit you, maybe observe you in your environment? You go through life as if there's nobody around. We are just bugs on the wall. We'll just observe as you go on with your life. So they went, and the lady said, yeah, of course, come on in anytime. I have some free time. You can walk in and observe me. I'll be more than happy to help you. So the entire team went with their paraphernalia, notes and camera and all that. So they went to this lady's home and said the same thing that they said over phone, saying that you are from this team and we would like to help you. Just get on with life as if we are not there. So she goes on with her life, whatever she did during the day, and at a point came when she had to take her medication. So this lady, as described in their report, was not didn't have let's say straight fingers like I do here, but I guess an arthritic patient, so her fingers were crooked and she couldn't hold on to objects very well. Such was her health condition. So she took the bottle of medicine, and this bottle of medicine is child proof. In some countries they have it as child proof, which means that just a normal rotating and opening will not work. You have to press on it from the top and then rotate it. Okay, so it takes a bit of skill. The assumption is the children are not able to figure this out. The kids don't figure this out. I doubt that, but anyway, the assumption is that, and they are able to open by only adults who figure this out is pressing on top and opening it. So obviously with her condition, she couldn't do that either. Okay, pressing it on, opening and holding it on like that. So she actually took a hacksaw, a saw, a small saw like this, and cut the neck of the bottle to open the medicine bottle to get her medicines out. So the team observed that if this is not a problem worth solving, then what else is? So they took that upon themselves to solve it and to help the lady. So the point being that it's through observation that they figured out that this lady helps. Even she couldn't articulate that she needed help here. Maybe she didn't, but it's an area for us design thinkers to think about, saying how might we help her with opening her medicine bottle, but keeping in mind that it should still be child proof. So it should be easy enough to open it. Even people with such a condition should be able to open it, but still, kids shouldn't figure this out and open it and get into trouble. Okay, so this was a case that also was published on IDEO, and this demonstrates empathy through observation. One was to go through it yourself. The second was through observation. So to start off with, what is it this whole empathy involves is to really find out, understand what is it that people are really going through, and this requires empathy. So this really is the first step and the most important step in our journey here. So asking them like ID or team did with the lady is what they want, really does not enlighten us to that extent, because sometimes people are able to articulate it well and good for you, you can note that down, but most times we find that customers or people who really need help are not able to express it in those terms. So this is something that is a gap that we will observe. So a really quick and easy to learn visual method to unearth needs that have not been expressed is really the need of the hour. We want something that you and I can quickly pick up, and it should be visual so that it does not require a lot of language to express what it is something that is the need of the hour, and is something called customer journey mapping. It's a very simple technique, an interview based sticky note technique that you can use to map the entire journey that any of your customer is going through. So it is a sticky note based, meaning those notes that stick temporarily and you can move it around, so that as and when new information your team figures out, you can actually add a sticky note, move things around as your understanding becomes better. So this way you're actually tracking somebody who needs help. Since it is a sticky note, you can also draw little visuals. Even a stick figure would do fine. You don't have to be an accomplished artist to get this going. So I'll give you a simple example of a case study that I worked on myself. Is that in the city that I live in, there are lots of people who ride two-wheelers, powered two-wheelers particularly. They go through a lot of steps trying to cover their head from dust, from heat, from pollution, from inhaling smoke, but they do not wear a head protection device, a helmet. So to me that was bugging, that you take all these steps to prevent your exposure to sunlight, to pollution, to dust and whatnot, but you don't take the basic 5 seconds it takes to wear a helmet. So this was something that was really irking me. Whoever I could approach, I would tell them, guys, wear a helmet and go on this. It's not safe. You're assuming that everybody else rides safely, so you should wear a helmet, is what I used to tell people. I mean, that was just external empathy. I did ride a two-wheeler. I used to wear a helmet, but what is it that people are going through? I wanted to look at it from this perspective, and I used this customer journey mapping to map that journey that somebody is going through. So here is an example of a customer journey map of a fictional personality called Mrs. Avni. Okay, here if you see, the first question to answer is, who are you trying to help really in this case? Give them a fictional name. I have not met any Mrs. Avni, I do not know them. This was a fictional name. I wrote down what kind of personality she could be based on the interactions that I've had in my interviews. Probably shows up as a 35-year-old mom, her role, and a particular geography. This is important for you to visualize what kind of journey is this person going through. And what is the activity that they're going through is a simple mom riding to work. So this is the simple activity that they are going through. So I'm going to examine 3 phases of mom riding to work. One is before, during and after. So we will see, the first step to see is before their journey. So here mom and dad actually pack lunch for kids and themselves. So this is the first step that they do. This is what came up in my observation. The second step that she did was to get her kids ready for school as well. So once they packed lunch, they have to get them ready for school and then send them across. Then comes the stage, for us the crucial stage here is to put on a scarf, something that protects them from sunlight and pollution, and then wear a helmet. I am assuming a case where they do wear a helmet. If you notice, we have looked at a few elements now. So this is the first one, which is setting a base for who is this person and what are they doing. Here is the time status before the activity. You can have 1, 2 and 3 to begin with, but you can have many more than that. This is a bare minimum that one could start with. Another element to notice is their emotional status. People have done the same method with multiple emotional states. I would say start with, are they happy, are they sad, or they don't feel anything. Like in this case, mom getting ready for school, she doesn't probably feel anything, is she happy or not. Here she is very happy. On the left hand side, she is packing lunch for her kids and for herself, which is good. Okay, so the next stage is during this activity. So this is the second stage of what the mom does. Is first she gets the vehicle out of the garage, no emotions associated with that. The second step during the phase is she rides in traffic exposed to sunlight, heat and dust. Okay, so I did not fully empathize with this mom earlier on. Before I interviewed them and observed them on the field, I knew about the sunlight, I knew about the dust, but the heat of wearing the helmet for a long time during traffic actually leads to a lot of sweating. Apparently also there is a perception that if you wear a helmet, it leads to hair loss. One of my students did do the groundwork on figuring this out, that there is a perception associated with the fact that if you sweat, and that leads to hair loss. And I had no clue about this part till my student did interview based perception analysis, and she found out that yes, this is true. There are lots of people who have this myth going around. Whether it's a myth or not is not part of my study, but the perception is true. Okay, so here again mom stops at several places because now she is concerned whether she's probably, her hair doesn't fit in correctly as she wants it to be, maybe her costume has moved around in the traffic. She has to stop at several places to make sure she's okay, because she's riding to work, she wants to look her best. Okay, so in this case, this is what our analysis of the situation was. Then we go on to the third step, which is now Mrs. Avni looks like she has to park the bike in the parking spot. This is not well received by our intended audience as well, because the bike is usually a bit heavy or the scooter is a bit heavy if you're going to use the main stand. Again, this is something that I was not aware of till I observed them on the field. Again, the next step is now she has to take off her helmet and scarf and probably pack it inside the trunk of the vehicle. Then the last phase is she walks to work. Now she is all done with her ride, the vehicle is out of the way, and now she is happy to go to work. And so you can see that in my map as well. So this is what we traced as a journey that my intended audience, Mrs. Avni, a 35-year-old mom in Delhi, does during the day, and in the part where I am interested in to solve a problem, to help her out in mom driving to work. So now we have unearthed a few things during her journey. We can pull out all the sad faces that we put on steps. First of all, she finds it hard to wear a scarf and a strap a helmet on top of it. This is something that we observed. You can write that down. The sunlight tans her skin in this particular geography in India. This is a social stigma. Heat causes perspiration. Again, I was remarking about this, a perception of hair loss and dust. Possibly dust can also cause illness, bronchial diseases or some sort of defects. Parking a heavy bike with the helmet on is also a tricky affair, again noted down. So I noted all these problems down, pulled out these stickies from our customer journey map, and now you can use these as insights that you want to work on. Here my tip is that one is you should be skillful enough to take that problem up and see if you can solve that. Is it broad enough that you can get many solutions? Is it narrow enough that you are not overwhelmed by the magnitude of the problem? Okay, so these are some tips that can help you in figuring out which of these problems should I work on. Should I work on all three? Should I work on only one? Should I work on two? Some things that to help on. Is it something that you are skilled at? You can make something, you can help them with your skill. Is it narrow enough for you to make an impact for your intended user? Is it broad enough that you can generate a lot of solutions? So these are some things that you can ask yourself and see if it fits the particular problem set, and you can pick a problem. Okay, so I have done this in the field in a class in Italy. On the right hand side is me working hard while my team was having a good time in Italy. You can see the customer journey map. That's the reason why I put up this. So you can see a lot of sticky notes with all our observations from the customers. There are still a few more that we were thinking of putting it in there. I was digitizing the whole thing. I mean, they were also working, of course, but you can see that this is where our observations were going in. We were sort of grouping some of the common observations, and you can be very detailed with this, as you can see here. Here we went ahead and actually categorized a lot of users. As you can see here, lots of users we detailed out. We were working on a particular company's product of an app, and seeing where they use this app. All our customer insights we had digitized and mapped it based on this. You can do such a detailing exercise, but I would still insist on having the basic journey map like we saw in Mrs. Avni's case. Okay, so I'm going to illustrate another example of a persona that one of my students had covered of somebody with a child actually looking for a toilet or a bathroom in a city. So this is her persona of a middle-aged mother with a 5-year child, and the geography is given and all the detailing is done. So you can do this as detailed as this or as generic as this. You can see it here. She did a detailing of what all does the customer go through, 6 steps with you can see it clearly what people are going through. Again, you can read the text, you can pause the video right here and see what details are in this. Okay. Okay. Now this is during the journey that the mother is going through with a child. So this we are open to seeing what all can probably go on your customer's journey, and this is after, and what is the emotional state. So this is another example of a customer journey map that one of my students had detailed out. So there are a few generic steps that you can follow in constructing a customer journey map. The first and foremost important one is to have an age. Having a large age group actually doesn't focus your efforts on finding out what the experience that your typical customer is going through. So going with a very specific age really helps in figuring out. A very specific geography can also help you with tracking down or shadowing your typical customer. These two are something that I found to be very useful in constructing a customer journey map. These are the 6 steps of detailing out a customer journey map. At first glance it may sound very complicated, it may look very complicated, but it is actually not. It's quite simple. The first is use your own experience, your own vision of what your customer is going through, and ask your teammates also to come up with their own insights and stack them up all together chronologically in time, saying they did this first and they did this first, next, and then next, and then you can detail all this out. So this is what I mean by steps of the as is customer experience, as they are, as you imagine them to be. And one tip here is to use one sticky note per step, so that you're not crowding out a lot of steps, and you can move things around as you can have your discussion with your team, and you can move things around and see if it makes logical sense. Is this what your team is your customer is going through? Okay, so that's the third step. You're arranging them in chronological order. This, then next this, then next this. So this is what you're doing in the first phase. Then you go out into the field and interview real customers. So that will be a step 4, like how I arrived at Mrs. Avni. You can arrive at your own persona by interviewing more and more people and seeing if they sort of fit into our age category and a geography category. Now go back to your customer journey map and see if you have unearthed something new, some new insight that you think, whoa, I didn't think about this. I had assumed a certain persona of a customer. This is how I thought they should be, but they're actually turning out to be this way. So you can actually make some corrections. And importantly, see where they are emotionally high, meaning they're very happy, and emotionally low, meaning they're very sad or they're feeling a bit low. So you can mark them out to begin with just a simple smiley and a sad face. Just mark them in your sticky note, and you should be fine. You will have a complete customer journey map. Okay, thank you.